House Finance put out their marker on reconciliation yesterday. It has a ton of things that differ pretty significantly from the House bill, and you heard a number of senators, including many who normally don't aren't gloom and doom about passage, say they're really worried about this passing, and certainly it's not going to pass on the current timetable. We still don't know the X date on debt ceiling from Scott Bessent, and that will really be the forcing mechanism, regardless of talk of concern and sky is falling by senators. So, Sean, where did the Senate Finance mark leave us now in terms of the prospects of passage, at least in the Senate?
It definitely was a step backwards. I actually am surprised that John Thune let this go forward. I think this was a shock to a lot of folks in how wide the gap now is in the between the House and the Senate on a lot of key provisions. We've talked a lot about the state and local tax deduction, commonly referred to as SALT. Look, going back to 10,000 from 40, where they had fought hard to get, I think I couldn't believe they settled at 40. As you guys know, I think I'm on the record saying that I thought the number would be 50. Going back to 10 just took 4 or 5 votes at least off the table. Then they scaled back the Inflation
Medicaid.
Reduction Act, rolled back the EV stuff. Then they hit further on Medicaid. I mean, like,
Also, some of the Trump tax cuts.
right, the Trump tax cuts, they did make 3 of the business tax cuts permanent, but then no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security. So they defied, in my opinion, the White House on this. And I can't believe that Thune let this thing go out forward. I actually thought that this was going to come out much closer to where the House was. We'd have some cute little tete-a-tete and everything would be done. This just bought more time and further reinforces the need for the C word.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. No,
I know.
There'll be no conference committee. There'll be no conference committee. But it's also the case that this bill, if it passed like this, you couldn't jam the House with this bill.
No, that's what, but it actually took here's the kicker. I think what was funny to me was they even took a step back in the Senate. You went further away from Ron Johnson,
Yeah.
probably Olympians. I mean, you made it harder to get those votes back.
Yeah.
And
And
Ron
it's-
Johnson, by the way, I think had been holding his powder, keeping his powder dry for a few weeks, willing to play ball. He had toned down the rhetoric. I actually thought that they had really worked Ron Johnson well, James Blair and others from the
Yeah.
White House. And to do this was basically, I think, a slap in the face of a lot of senators that were trying to get there.
Yes,
Well,
Dan.
and Josh Hawley, who has been so vocal about Medicaid, and Missouri hospitals would get utterly obliterated in this bill, as would several southern states where you need people. I think it's still very likely this goes through because Trump has not leaned in. The House was kind of stuck until Trump leaned in and just got everybody on board. Now, the problem is what we just talked about. If, and God forbid, I hope this doesn't happen. Hopefully it is super successful very quickly. But if he gets bogged down dealing with events overseas and then tries to turn around and roll the Senate, that's where it gets hard. So I still think this happens because Trump makes it happen.
I got to ask you about very likely. We've all been close to mortal lock. Is very likely a downgrade for you?
No, I mortal lock.
Mortal lock. Sean, still mortal lock to pass the House and the Senate?
Well, define that, please.
Will the president will the president pass a reconciliation bill along the lines of these two disparate bills into law this year?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
This just bought. I mean, look, I've always believed that this is going to be closer to August, if not the first 2 weeks. They hold Congress in for a week or two or something like that, and threaten with their recess. I think that's always the biggest backstop for any member of Congress, not being able to have some time away. So I think you just bought at least a few more weeks of time.
Chris
Let me
Lasavita.
ask you guys this though.
Yeah.
For both of you, because we keep talking about MAGA hasn't had the full power of MAGA hasn't been turned on this bill yet. We all think if they needed to, the Charlie Kirks and everyone. What if there's problems overseas?
They still do it. They're master compartmentalizers.
Okay, so Tucker and everyone.
Master compartmentalizers.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You can be. I mean, there's plenty of people. You think about the Maha movement alone, who are just bought in because of Make America Healthy Again. So the compartmentalizing is Trump does it better than anyone, and then the MAGA movement is a close second.
Okay.
Yeah. Chris Lasavita tweeted that there's some big ad campaign coming in support of reconciliation. I didn't have time to look into it, but they do have cards to play, as Sean said, or as you said, Dan, not just the president, but allies.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.